will not have to wear too much clothes because it's too cold, or no clothes because it's too hot. Hi, welcome back to our channel. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Lucy.
And today we're going to be answering some questions that we always get about where we grew up, which is Hawaii.
We're actually back home right now in Hawaii. As you can see, we have the beautiful beach behind us. So I guess we really wanted to make this video because we've received so many questions about what it's like to grow up in Hawaii. So we thought that we'd create a video to kind of share those answers to those questions that you may also have for what it's like to grow up in Hawaii. So the first thing that people ask us when we tell them that we grew up in Hawaii is, one, what are you doing here? This might be a sarcastic question more than an actual question, but we get this pretty often.
So it got to the point where I also question myself, what am I doing here, freezing my butt off when I could be at the beach? But there are a lot of reasons why a lot of people leave Hawaii. The main reason is that there's a lot more opportunities out there in the islands of Hawaii, especially for education, for opportunities, for higher income jobs. Biggest industry is hospitality and tourism, and so unless you're really interested in that field, there's really not that many opportunities here, and that's the reason why we decided to move away.
The next question a lot of people ask us is, what is it like to grow up in Hawaii? For me personally, I didn't realize I grew up in such a beautiful place, a dream vacation destination. I guess when you're in Hawaii, you're in kind of this bubble where you don't realize what's going on in outside the world. I think I really only started valuing where I came from once I left. I realized, wow, it is a beautiful place that I have not taken advantage of. I haven't been to those beautiful beaches. I haven't been on these beautiful, amazing hikes. And only when I left did I come back to really appreciate those things.
Now that we don't permanently live in Hawaii, we do feel a need and want to explore more, and there's so much to explore on the islands. Growing up in Hawaii, I didn't realize how much of a minority is the majority here until I left. In Hawaii, there's not too many of one race. We do have a melting pot of mostly Asians, but there's also different types of cultures and identities, and a lot of mixed cultures in Hawaii as well. And the reason for that is during the plantation ages, when a lot of people immigrated here to work on the plantations, the pineapple, the coffee, and due to that, there's a lot of mixed cultures. You can also see that in the pidgin, which became an official language. It's a mix of Portuguese, Japanese, Hawaiian, and English. So I didn't realize how diverse it was in Hawaii until I left and moved to the East Coast. And then I realized, wow, there's just how much more less diverse it was in another big city.
I also went to school that was considered really diverse, but I was like, really? It doesn't feel that diverse to me. Another question we get is, do you need a passport to visit Hawaii?
And the answer is no, you don't need a passport. Hawaii is like any other state, like California or New York. You can visit the state without having a passport because we are a part of the US.
This question we don't receive too often, but I've heard of some friends who've received these questions, is, do you live in a hut and do you have Wi-Fi? I think it's a very funny question. If you do want to live in a hut, you can definitely go ahead and live in a hut, but in Hawaii, a lot of people live in regular houses, apartment buildings, a complex. It's a pretty normal residential area for the most part. And yes, we do have Wi-Fi. That's how we're able to stay connected to the rest of the world.
That's how we're able to film these YouTube videos and upload them for you.
Another question we get pretty often is, do you surf?
Yes, I've been asked that many times.
So we actually have surfed before, but we cannot surf professionally. We surf occasionally. And not everyone here in Hawaii can surf, want to surf, or will surf. So just like Colorado, I'm guessing not everyone snowboards, not everyone skis. I'm sure majority of people do snowboard and ski. In Hawaii, it's just like that same where there is a handful of people who can surf and who really enjoy it, but there's also a lot of people who don't enjoy that activity. That leads us into our next question is, do you like the beach?
So we personally really love and enjoy going to the beach just because it's such a nice and beautiful place to go. But there's also a lot of people in Hawaii who don't like the beach. They personally don't like the beach and even don't like going outside. And that's normal because like anywhere else in the world, you have people who like the outdoors and people who don't like the outdoors.
The next question we receive pretty often is, are you Hawaiian?
No, we are not Hawaiian. In Hawaii, there's a lot of people who immigrated to Hawaii and during the plantation times where they just personally chose to come here. Just because you come here and live in Hawaii or was born in Hawaii does not make you Hawaiian. Being Hawaiian means you are blood Hawaiian, and only a handful of people in Hawaii are actually native Hawaiian or have some percentage of Hawaiian in their blood. Most people here who live and grew up in Hawaii are considered locals. So we are locals because we actually grew up here even though we are not native Hawaiian. And it's kind of disrespectful to call someone Hawaiian.
Well, you're not actually Hawaiian. So a little background about us. We actually grew up on the Big Island, which is what it means, the Big Island. The biggest island in Hawaii, and it's also called Hawaii, which is funny because the whole state is called Hawaii too. I know, I'm not sure how they came up with that. We are currently living on the island of Oahu.
And the island of Oahu is where the capital city of the state is, which is Honolulu. I mean, it's a much more bigger city, it's more populated, and there's just a lot more to do here.
And now that we answered all your questions that you have about growing up in Hawaii, if there's anything that we missed, please leave us a comment below and we'll try to answer that in the next video. Now let's get into why Hawaii is one of the most unique places in the world. So I have my phone out. Hawaii is considered the most isolated population on Earth. It's about 2,500 miles from the nearest landfall. So we're pretty isolated if you think about how far that is. Because we're so far from the closest landmass, we have our own time zone. It's called Hawaii Standard Time. It's about 3 hours behind Pacific Standard Time, which is considered the West Coast, so like California, Washington, Oregon. Also, another interesting thing is that Hawaii does not observe daylight savings. We don't lose an hour in the fall, we don't gain an hour in the spring. Right? Is that it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we are super confused. We moved away and we lost an hour of our day and our sleep, and then we got it back the following year.
Hawaii's ecosystem, made up of all the animals and all the plants that are nurtured here, are considered the most isolated from the world.
Culture is very distinct in Hawaii. And it's not until you move here and actually live here that you'll experience this. A lot of the traditions here are handed down from generation to generation and really evolved with the different types of cultures that were merged into the Hawaiian culture. So that's why they call us the melting pot.
Hawaii also has a very fascinating history. From the first European visitors to the monarchy being overthrown in 1959, and it became a part of the United States of America then.
And I'm not going to lie about this, I truly believe it, that Hawaii has the most unbeatable weather in the world. Our ranges for the weather is anywhere between 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit all year long. You will not have to wear too much clothes because it's too cold, or no clothes because it's too hot. And it's very surprising sometimes because on one side of the island it could be rainy and on the other side it could be bright and sunshine. That's what makes this island so interesting, all tropical and very unique.
We all know this, but Hawaii has the most beautiful beaches in the world. We have white sand beaches, black sand beaches, red sand beaches, green sand beaches, pretty much all the colors you can imagine. All of them are so beautiful, some may be hidden, but a lot of them are open for you to visit anytime. Mount Ka in Hawaiian stands for mountains. Mountains are a very integral part of the Hawaii ecosystem. So for you and for any tourists or visitors coming to see Hawaii, you're going to be able to find so many beautiful waterfalls, hikes, scenic routes, scenic drives. You can find pretty much any terrain here in Hawaii.
And Makai is the water. The Aloha Spirit is unlike anywhere else in the world. People who live in Hawaii believe in the Aloha Spirit, which is like treating everyone with kindness and love and care. If you do visit Hawaii, just know that everyone here is super welcoming with open arms and really a sense of community.
It's also said that Hawaii is the only state in America that can grow coffee commercially.
Hawaii is a true melting pot from cultures to climate. It is home to the most multiracial residents in the US. Not only will you find different types of cultures, foods, you'll also find different types of climates. You will find 10 of the 14 climates just on the islands of Hawaii.
Lastly, Hawaii is very relaxed here. Everyone's very friendly, but also very chill. It's known for its relaxation. That's why you come here for your vacations. And you kind of lose yourself in this moment that there's nothing to worry about and there's nothing to stress about. And I think that really shows in the lifestyle.
We really hope you enjoyed this video about our answers to some of the questions you might have. And if you have additional questions, definitely leave it in the comments. We might film another video. Oh, please give us a thumbs up and definitely subscribe to our channel. We post every week. Bye!
Bye.
I forgot what you say something good in the last time.
Colorado, not everyone snowboards. Not everyone goes skiing. Because we're so far from
Civilization?
no, we're so far from anyone, from every